right? My name is Akash, and I am the Clat head for Time, and I take care of the Clat program at Time. I'm a graduate from National Law University, Lucknow. I graduated in 2021, and since then, I'm helping students to prepare for law entrance exams, including Clat, ailet, SLAT, and other exams as well, right? I hope all of you are aware of this. All of you are aware about this exam. If you want me to start with an introduction to this exam, please let me know. I would like to listen from you. You can just unmute yourself and speak up whenever you feel like speaking up, or whenever you have any doubts that requires to be or any query that needs to be solved. Also, I want to know if you're comfortable with English or a mix of Hindi and English. Nitya, Neha, Harshada, Raksha, Saisha, Dristi, Devika. I hope all of you can hear me. If you can hear me properly, please confirm.
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Raksha, for confirming.
Yeah, thank you.
Uh,
Sir, English is fine.
English is fine. Great. All right. So I just want to know a bit about you. I need to know the background so that we can start. We'll start with a brief introduction. We'll start with Devika. You can just tell me about yourself. From where do you belong to? How long you've been preparing for this exam? What are your subjects? In which class you're enrolled in?
Hello, sir. My name is Devika Deshpande. I'm from Nasik. I'm in 11th standard. I'll be going to 12th this year. And I started preparing for CLAT last year in October. I joined
Okay.
the time classes in October last year.
So you have already joined time, and you're prepared. You're taking classes for CLAT.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
All right. Just keep that. Yeah. Okay. Let's move on to Dristi now. Dristi, can you please tell us something about you?
Hello, sir. I'm Drishti Jain. I'm studying Clat from Time Institute, Nashik, and I started for preparing Clat this December.
You're in which class, Dristi?
I'm in 11th standard. I started preparing for Clat like past December for 2024.
Okay. Okay. Let's move to Gauravi. Gauravi. Yeah.
Hello.
Gauravi, can you speak a little louder? I'm not able to hear you.
Hello.
Yeah. Yeah. You're audible now.
Good evening, sir. Myself Gauravi Sharma. I'm from Kota, Rajasthan, and this year I just passed my 11th class, and now I'm a 12th appearing student. And I've decided to give 26, and of the April,
So
I've
have you enrolled for any coaching,
decision
or
to
you're
give
looking
that.
for other,
Yes,
you're
sir.
still
I'm
exploring the
already enrolled
institutes?
in this. I'm already
Gauravi.
enrolled in this. Hello.
Gauravi, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
So my question is, have you already enrolled for an institute, or you're still exploring?
No, sir. I'm already in this time ClatPrep Institute.
Okay, you're already enrolled. Okay. Let's now move to Harshada Shinde.
Good evening, sir. I am Harshada and I've been preparing since last year, June. And I'm studying in Nashik Clat coaching. And
Okay.
I'm
You
now
have
in
joined Time or some other institute?
time.
Okay.
And
So
I have
what subjects do you have, Harshada?
all the main sections we have in exam.
No. I'm talking about class 11th and 12th.
So I'm a commerce student.
Okay, you are from commerce. All right. Let's now move to Neha. Neha Tapkire.
Good evening, sir. My name is Neha Tapkire. I live in Nasik. I am currently studying in 11th standard. My stream is humanities, and I am from Times Nashik.
You're from Times now. So you're also already enrolled with us, and you're
Yes.
preparing for how long you've been preparing for?
Since last June.
So it's almost a year now. Okay,
Yes.
let's move to Nitya Rathod.
Good evening, sir. My name is Nitya Rathod. I live in Nasik and I'm a science student and will be going into 12th grade right now. I am with time since June, last year, June.
Okay, all right. Panse. How do you pronounce it? I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing it wrong.
Pansy.
Pansy. Okay.
Yeah, my name is Pansy Nadar. I'm going to study in 12th now, commerce.
Okay. And where
And
do you belong to?
Nasik.
You're also from Nasik and you are enrolled in Time Nasik.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Raksha.
Hello, good evening, sir.
Good evening, Raksha.
My name is Raksha Krishnani, and I live in Nasik, and I'm currently my 12th grades are started, and I have joined Nasik Times,
Okay. So most of you are from Nasik. Are you all
and
from the
my
same
stream
batch?
is commerce.
Are you all from the same batch?
Yes.
Like Nitya, Pansy, and me are from same batch,
Okay.
but no idea about others.
Okay. All right. Let's now move to Saisha. Saisha. Am I pronouncing it correctly, Saisha?
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir. I am from Gondia, Maharashtra, and I'm going to be in 11th standard and in commerce stream.
Okay. And are you preparing for CLAT or are you looking for coaching?
I am looking for coaching.
Okay. All right. Thank you for the wonderful introduction, guys. Now I'll talk about some of the things. So I think since most of you are already aware of this exam and you're preparing for this, we'll not go into the basics of the exam. I'll just because as you must already been aware of this about this exam, right? So we'll not go into the basics like what is the pattern of exam, what are the different subjects that come in exam, or maybe what is the marking scheme of the exam, because you must already be already aware of this. We'll directly move on to a story. I'd like to start this webinar with a story. Now, the story is about a ship. The ship was on a voyage, and during its journey, it faces, it gets wrecked, and there emerge some issues with the ship. The captain of the ship tried to fix it up, but he could not do it. He could not do it. Uh, then they call an expert. They called an expert mechanic who was very popular for fixing up the ships. And he was called and he inspected the ship. And after inspecting it, he just took out a small hammer out of his pocket and just hits it once at the turbine, right? And the ship starts working. A few days later, when he sent the bill to the captain of the ship, the captain of the ship was surprised to see such a huge amount for just you hitting the ship with only once with the hammer. Now, when questioned, uh, the the total amount of bill was, let's say, $10,000, and when questioned about why you're charging such a huge amount for just hitting the hammer once on the ship, he said that I'll give you a detailed breakup of the bill. And in the detailed breakup, he tells him that, okay, $1 is for hitting the ship, and $999 is for knowing where to hit the ship, right? So, what is more important is not preparing for CLAT. it is what is more important is how do we prepare for it? What are the areas that we need to focus on? And how much to study in a particular area? Say we all know that there are 5 areas, that there are 5 subjects in this exam. That is English language, logical reasoning, legal reasoning, quantitative techniques, and GK and current affairs. But what exactly do we have to cover in this? How in these subjects? Or what is the length to up to which we have to cover GK? Because GK is one of those subjects which does not have any beginning and the end. In fact, everything under the sun becomes your syllabus when you're studying GK. Then it becomes very important, like to what extent do we study, or where exactly do we have to hit the hammer, right? And that is what we'll try to understand by this seminar, right? So I welcome you all to the seminar. I hope you like the story and you got the point which I wanted to make. See, 80,000 students write this exam, right? And almost 50 to 60,000 of them attend the coaching classes somewhere or the other, right? Be it time, be it any other institute. Even if you assume that only the students who are preparing for this exam at coaching institute will get the seat, then also the probability would be less than 1%, because there are only about 3,000 students. Out of that, also a lot of them have been reserved for different category of students. So roughly around 1,500 to 2,000 open seats. And if you see 50 to 60,000 students take up coaching institutes, so the chances of getting a seat for only those students is less than 1%. So only those who know how to hit the hammer and where to hit the hammer will perform better in this exam and will take the advantage, will get the lead, and be able to secure a seat for themselves in the top law institutions of this country, right? Now, in today's session, we'll talk about the standard practices. There are certain standard practices which every student should follow in their CLAT preparation. Then we'll talk about some subject-wise strategies, or the kind of strategies that you have to implement in order to improve your scores in every subject. Then we'll talk about some common mistake which every aspirant of CLAT do and which you don't have to do, right? At the end of the seminar, I'll give you some bonus tips. So stay back with me till the end. I hope you will all enjoy the lecture. I promise you that I'll not let it be boring at any point of time. Fine. So let's start with the strategy or the standard practices, right? There are certain standard practices which are time tested, which have stood the test of time. No matter what type of exam CLAT becomes, no matter what pattern of the CLAT becomes, there are certain standard practices which are implemented, which are like strategies which are implemented by the toppers and the people who seriously prepare for this exam. And I want you to incorporate these standard practices in your preparation, right? So the first standard practice is reading the newspaper daily. See, when it comes, right, newspaper is one of the sources for preparation, which if you are reading newspaper, you are already preparing for 4 out of 5 subjects. You're already preparing for 4 out of 5 subjects. You're preparing for English language, logical reasoning, legal reasoning, and GK and current affairs. A lot of time we do this mistake of assuming that reading the newspaper will only help us in GK and current affairs. But this is utterly wrong. If you look at the previous year papers, if you look at the papers, CLAT papers of 2025, 24, 23, you'll realize that the passages that are asked in exam, be it the passages of English language, logical reasoning, legal reasoning, or GK and current affairs, they are largely based on the current events which are happening around you, right? You must have realized. Acha, before we go ahead, I want to ask you one question. How many of you have already seen the previous 4 to 5 year papers of CLAT and you have solved them? How many of you have already seen the papers? Just raise your hands. I want to know how many of you have. Okay, Gauravi has seen the papers. What about others? Harshada, Nitya, Raksha. What about you guys? You have not seen the papers?
No, sir. Actually, we are just doing section mock test right now.
So you have not written the full length mock test?
No.
Okay, but even if you have not written a full length mock paper, my suggestion would be that you please at least look at the previous year papers of CLAT. They are all available on the different website. If you want, I can share those papers with you. I just want to know whether you have seen the previous year papers. See, if you have not seen the previous year paper, you are similar. You are placed in a similar position to a warrior who is going to a war without even knowing the strengths and weaknesses of their enemy. Right? If you're going for a war without even knowing your enemy, your chances of success are very low. Right? So this is like a battle. And if you don't know your enemy, how will you prepare to fight against them? So Clat is like a battle. And previous year paper is your enemy. It will tell you about what type of enemy it is that you will have to face, what type of challenges will be there. It will be a reflection of how difficult the paper would be, or what would be the difficulty level of each and every subject, right? And also it will be a reflection of what all things or what all areas you have to focus on, right? So it's my humble suggestion that you go through the previous year papers. I'll ask my team to share these papers with you, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
And if you'll analyze the papers, you'll understand that a lot of passages that are asked in exam, whether it is English passages or the passages based on logical reasoning, legal reasoning, or GK and current affairs, most of these passages are taken from the current events which are happening around the world. They may be from the topics like GDP, repo rate, and they can be from topics of international relations, geopolitics, or maybe from topics
Tariff.
of science and technology, philosophy, right? Could be anything. But reading the newspaper will give you and will help you in preparing for 4 out of 5 subjects. So it is the most wonderful source for preparing for CLAT. I hope you got my point. Apart from quant, you will get a help in each and every subject if you're reading the newspaper. So this is the best source and you cannot skip it. Also, if you have skipped one day's newspaper, you cannot cover it at a later stage. So it has to be done on a daily basis. It is something that has to be done on a daily basis, because if you miss one day's newspaper, you will not be able to do it next day, because there will be a new newspaper again the next day. So it's a humble suggestion that if you're already not reading an English newspaper daily, please start reading it. So my next question is, how many of you read at least one English newspaper on a daily basis? I want you to raise the hands. Okay, Gauravi does read the newspaper.
So, like, are you saying the headings or like the whole paragraphs
No,
too?
not just the heading. I want you to read the whole newspaper.
No, not whole. The main headings, I guess.
Sir, I have a doubt.
Yeah, tell me.
So time is with ClatPrep, right?
See, ClatPrep is a venture of Time.
Yeah.
ClatPrep is a sub-brand of Time. Yeah.
Yes. So they upload videos on YouTube of daily current affairs, right? And current affairs of they cover the newspapers, The Hindu and Indian Express. So I watch them daily and I take notes of whatever the person is teaching. So will it work? Is it okay if I not read the newspaper, but then I
Not at all. Not at all. Not at all.
watch or I take the notes?
Not at all. Now, the point what I'm making is that, see, it's a reading intensive exam. If you'd ask me the nature of this exam, if you ask me the nature of this exam, see, if we talk about the pattern, there are 5 subjects, and out of these 5 subjects, there are 3 heavy reading subjects. Can you name those 3 heavy reading subjects for me?
Legal reasoning.
Legal, quant,
Legal,
LR,
logical, and
quant.
English, not quant. Quant is not a heavy reading subject. Quant is something which gives you a break from reading while you're solving the exam. These are the 3 heavy reading subjects, right? And altogether, there are around 15 to 16 passages in this exam, in these 3 subjects. Then you have GK and quant. You have GK and quant, right? In GK and quant, there are altogether 7 to 8 passages. You see the amount of reading that goes into the exam. You have to read at around 20 to 22 passages. You have to read 120 questions. You have to read 480 options. And all of this within a span of 120 minutes. You'll have to fill the OMR, plus you have to fill the credentials. All of this and you have to solve the quant questions also. So solving also is a part of it. All of this within 120 minutes. One of the skills that is being put to test in CLAT exam is your reading and comprehension skills. It's a purely reading and comprehension based exam. It is not a knowledge based exam at all. The knowledge is tested, of course, but it is tested only in GK and current affairs section, and that too only to a limited extent. Otherwise, it's a comprehension based exam. It tests you on your skills. Which skills are being put to test? It's your reading skills and comprehension skills. How well you can read, how fast you can read, and how well you can comprehend what you have just read. This exam does not give you a scope of reading something again. You'll have to understand within one reading whatever is there in the passage, and then you have to answer the question based on that. You roughly get 4 to 5 minutes to read one passage and solve all the questions in that. That is the level of speed that you need. Just by listening to those videos, it's not going to work. It is just, those videos have a different purpose. The purpose of those videos is that if you do not understand a complex topic in the newspapers, for example, if you are not able to understand a topic, let's say, uh, uh, liquidity adjustment facility. Now, what is liquidity adjustment facility? You don't know this topic, but this is there in the newspaper. So those videos are help you to simplify this topic for you, not a primary source. The primary source is always going to be a newspaper. Newspaper is the primary source. These videos are just add-ons. Nitya, I think you got my point. The idea that I want to convey is that you have to read. It's a reading intensive exam. If you do not read enough, if we do not practice reading, how will you fare well in this exam? You have to read.
Right.
When I said that if you are reading newspaper, you are preparing for 4 out of 5 subjects. The idea that I'm giving is you will develop a reading habit. You'll develop a reading habit. You'll understand how to read and comprehend complex topics and complex language. You will develop a command over vocabulary.
Sir,
All this will help you in the exam. Yeah, Raksha.
That app, InShort app, what about that? Like, will it be
Sorry?
helpful? That InShort app.
No, any shortcut is not applicable here. No, see, there are no shortcuts in this journey. It's a long drawn. It's this preparation of this exam is a long drawn battle. There are no shortcuts to this exam. You cannot take shortcuts. You have to read the newspaper. There's no alternative to a good newspaper. And even in newspaper, when it comes to newspaper, you have to read either the Indian Express or the Hindu.
So can we read the Times of
No
India?
other newspaper than this. These are the best newspapers available in the market. You have to read either one of these with a special focus on editorial page and ideas or op-ed page and explained page. You don't have to read the whole newspaper. You just read the editorial and ideas page, explained page, sports, that too in a very limited sense, and the front page. You do not have to focus on state-wise news and political news and business-related news and the city-wise news. These are the main pages that you have to focus on.
Okay, sir.
Excuse
Thank
me,
you.
sir.
Yeah.
Sir, can we read the Indian Express?
Yeah. I said either the Indian Express or the Hindu. Either of these.
And what about the Times of India?
No, it's a newspaper full of commercial. If you like reading commercials and advertisement, then you can read Times of India. But it is not going to help you in the exam.
So
See,
what
the
about
reason, see,
Lokmat?
I am not getting paid. I am not getting paid by these newspaper to promote these. The reason why I am telling you to read these newspaper is because the quality of the content in these newspaper is very holistic. It's much high. It's very better. It's much better than what the other newspapers provide. And also, a lot of time you will see a passage being directly taken from these newspaper. Imagine in the newspaper, in the actual exam, you get a passage that you have already read. Imagine the level of confidence and the level of accuracy you will have in that passage. Raksha, you were saying something.
No, sir, I was asking about Lokmat.
No. See, you can read any newspaper, but this is what my suggestion is. And I am not I'm not making suggestions through on my whims and fancies. This is a time tested formula. I'm reading newspaper daily almost for the last 5-6 years now, even more than that. And I have read many newspapers in my life. And over the years, I've realized that these are the two best newspapers if you are preparing for competitive exams. Fine.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and I am assuming that from the next week you will start reading the newspaper daily. You can either take a online subscription or you can get a hard copy of it. I belong to the older generation and I'll prefer reading the newspaper in the physical copy. You can very well prefer to read it in the online mode if you have a tablet or a laptop.
Sir, from tomorrow only.
Definitely, that's the kind of spirit that we need. All right, let's move to the next standard practice, which is focus on thematic vocabulary. Now, one of the challenges that students face while writing this exam is when they're reading the passage, when you're reading the passage, you're not able to understand some key terms and phrases. Right? For example, you're reading a GK passage, and there's a term that is this GK passage is let's say on economy, and it talks about, let's say, sterilization. Now, what is the contextual meaning of this term? If you don't, and this passage, the whole passage revolves around the concept of sterilization. Now, if you don't know the meaning of sterilization, how will you understand this passage? Or let's say a passage, it's an English passage, and it is talking about constitutional morality or constitutionalism. Does anyone know what is the meaning of constitutionalism? Okay, I'll tell you how to derive the meaning. Whenever there's a suffix ism in a word, it means that it's a philosophy, it's an ideology. Now, constitutionalism is an ideology which says that the constitution should be followed in the letter and spirit. That the constitution must be supreme and everyone has to be within the constitution. Now, if you don't know the meaning of these terms, you will find it very difficult to understand the passage. And therefore, it becomes very important. It becomes very important to develop a hold over the thematic vocabulary, the vocabulary of the subjects. Before reading the subjects, you have to develop the vocabulary. You have to know the vocabulary of the subject. If you don't know the vocabulary of the subject, you'll find it very difficult to understand those subjects. Therefore, develop thematic vocabulary for subjects like polity, economy, environment, and obviously the laws. So the legal terms and maxims you have to know. You should know the meaning of actus reus or mens rea, because the passage will assume that you know the meaning of these terms. Sometimes they might tell you the meaning of these terms, but mostly the passage will assume that you know the meaning of mens rea. That is what they'll assume. And they are rightly assuming that you should know the meaning of these terms. Are you getting my point?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
And how to develop this thematic vocabulary. Whenever you are reading a subject and you come across such a term, you try to, you do not just Google the meaning of this term. That is the worst possible way. Let's say I'm stuck with a sentence. There's a word in the sentence and I don't know the meaning of the sentence. The first thing that I should do is I should try to guess the meaning of this term by reading it in the context, by reading it in the context. If that meaning which I am guessing does not fit well, then I'll go for a Google search. The first thing is not the Google search. That is the easiest and the worst possible way. By that, if you're following that way, you will always be dependent on Google. If you want to develop the thematic vocabulary, you'll have to first start guessing the meaning of this term. Start guessing the meaning of this term in context. You should understand, should try to look at the term in the context in which it is being used, and then try to derive the meaning out of the term. To confirm, you can use Google. You can do a Google search and confirm whether your guesswork is correct or not. And over the period of time, by extensive reading, it will take a lot of time. It is not something that you can develop within a day or a week. It will take time. It will take extensive time to develop the hold over thematic vocabulary. You have to know the language of the subject. You should know the language of the subject.
Sir, what if we start from tomorrow and in the exam all that came from last year?
Sorry?
Like, we'll start from tomorrow reading the newspapers and everything, but we don't know about the last year's, like,
Don't worry about
agendas
that.
and
Don't worry
everything.
about that. See, the point of reading a newspaper is not to make sure that everything in exam is what you have read. No, that is not the point. It will never be like that. Right? But I am assuring you that if you start reading the newspaper from tomorrow till the time of your exam, by that time you will be aware of a lot of things, and almost 60 to 70% of the paper will be from what you have already read. And that is what is required. You are not required to score 120 out of 120. Fine. That is not the idea. If you start reading the newspaper from tomorrow till, let's say, 5th of or till let's say 20th November, if you keep reading the newspaper daily, you would have almost read around 200 newspapers. 200 newspapers is the number of newspapers you would have read by that time. That is quite a lot of reading, and that is what we want. We want you to read. Forget about the context. Forget about the content, and don't worry. They'll not ask something, especially in GK. They'll not ask something which happened last year. They'll largely focus on events from January to November, and also with a special emphasis on the months of July, August, September, October, and November. These are the months that you should have improved focus on. These are the most important months when it comes to current affairs. Clear?
Sir, I understood your point, but I still have a doubt.
Yeah, go ahead.
That in the Hindu, the analysis videos, they actually give you, for example, there is a passage and from the Hindu, and then they'll read the passage for you and they'll explain you whatever is important for your exam or what can be asked for your exam. For an example, right now the president went to Portugal and Slovakia, right? So only that is the context which was given in the Hindu. But then what are the questions that can be asked? What is the capital of, for an example, what is the capital of Portugal? What is the capital of Slovakia? Who is the president over there? So how do you do that then? If you read the newspaper, I understood your point. It'll increase my reading speed. But then what about the questions which can be asked? I'll never know na कि कौन से questions पूछ सकते हैं या फिर कैसे पूछेंगे.
Yeah, I got your point. See, it's when you read a news, firstly, not every topic is important from the perspective of your exam. That is what I'm asking. That is why I'm asking you to go through the previous year papers, right? If you go through the previous year paper, you'll find that whatever they are asking, the topics that they are asking, especially in GK, whatever they are asking, it is from the most important and most predictable news. Now, before this exam, let's say this exam was on 1st December. No? 1st December 2024 was the exam.
Yes.
On 25th November, I gave a list of 20 topics to the students. Out of those 20 topics, 3 topics were there in the exam. And the other 2 topics were static based. Other 2 topics were static based.
Mhm.
The three topics that were current affair based were from those 20 topics. So these topics are very predictable, right? So you do not
Right.
have to go into the details of each and every subject for each and every topic. For example, president went to Portugal. President will take, let's say, 20 journeys in this period. Will you learn all this thing for each and every subject, or is it too important? Is it the first time that the president is visiting Portugal?
Yes.
Has no Indian president ever visited Portugal before?
I'm not sure, but she's the second one. She's the second one, right?
So, and did any landmark agreement was signed? Was there any landmark agreement which was signed between them? Any
No,
landmark agreement?
nothing,
Anything
nothing important.
extraordinary or
No, no,
any
no.
unprecedented thing happened? Then it's not that important where we should be doing the mapping of this subject of a topic
Mm,
again. And you're also looking at the newspaper from the perspective of GK. You're still looking at the newspaper from the perspective of GK.
right. Mm-hmm.
Right? Don't look at it in a very limited view, with a very limited view. I want you to broaden the view. Right? Also, let's say I'll give you an example. Now, in CLAT 2024, they asked questions from G20 summit. Now, why did they ask G20 summit? Because this was the first time when the G20 summit was organized by India, and India had the chair of G20. This year, 2025, they asked a question on BRICS. Now, both these topics were predictable. If you had asked me whether there will be a topic or whether there will be a question on BRICS, I would have said yes, 99%. I am guaranteeing you that there will be a question on BRICS. And there was a question on BRICS. Why did they ask? Because there was an expansion. For the first time since its inception, BRICS has seen an expansion. Drishti.
Sir, so what are predictable topics we can say that will come in 2026 class?
Drishti, your voice is breaking. Could you please speak clearer?
Which all are the predictable topics till now we can say that will come in 2026 class?
See, it will be a mistake to predict the topics now. It will be a mistake. Anyway, if you are with time, and I'll give you a list of topics that can be predictable. For example, as of now, what the topic that I can see in the exam is the return of Sunita Williams.
Yes.
Now, this is a topic that must be covered in detail. For example, who was the first Indian to go into the space? Who was the first Indian women to go into the space? Who was the first person in the world to go into the space? Who was the first person to set the foot on the moon? And about India's space program, India's manned space mission. How many countries have taken manned missions in the space? All these questions become important. Now, because this was something unprecedented, a women which was stuck in space. There were 2 people who were stuck in space, and they were brought back by a private agency, by a flight from a private company. So that becomes important. If you ask me whether the president's visit to Portugal is important, I would say, as of now, I would say no. I would not go into the details. Still, if you want to read the topics in detail, you all know about GK mantra. You know about GK mantra. Are you guys reading GK mantras?
Yes, on the dashboard, right?
Yeah. So GK mantras are basically monthly magazine. Monthly GK magazine. In this magazine, you'll find the most important topics for that month being covered in great detail, and you will also find the questions based on that. If you do not already have the question, you will very soon find questions from this. Each and every topic will have questions predicted. The kind of question that could be asked.
So they even give a daily newspaper, daily.
Yeah,
this
daily
thing.
inputs also. You can follow this. I'll talk about the subject-wise strategies. Don't worry, I'll talk about the subject-wise strategies as well. But as of now, I want to talk about some standard practices which you have to follow. First is reading the newspapers. The second is thematic vocabulary. Fine. Let's move to the next one now. Next is start taking mocks. How many of you have already started taking mocks? Okay, Harshada. What about others? No one else except for Harshada or Devika and Harshada has started taking mocks?
Sir, I'm just in sectional test.
Sorry?
I'm just doing sectional test right now.
I am not able to hear you.
I'm just doing sectional test right now.
Okay, you're doing sectional test, but not full length mock.
Oh no.
It's high time. See, if you're writing CLAT in 2025, I mean, if you're appearing for CLAT 2026, it's high time now that you start taking the full length mocks. Right? You start taking the full length mocks. Maybe from the next month, maybe from the 1st of May, you should start taking the full length mocks. Now, I know a lot of you might not have completed the syllabus yet, but still, I want you to start writing the mocks. See, CLAT preparation is different from this your class 11th and 12th preparation, right? And not just class preparation for any, if you're preparing for any competitive exam, it's different. The whole game is different. It is very similar to taking coaching for, let's say, cricket, right? When you're taking a coaching for cricket, will they first teach you the whole theory and then they'll hand over the bat to you?
No.
Or the theory or the practice will go hand in hand?
Theory and practice.
Theory and practice will go hand in hand, right? CLAT is very similar, right? So when I say that you should start taking the full length mock, I want the theory as well, the reading, the completion of syllabus, and the practice to go hand in hand. You should understand how it feels. You should feel how it feels. I mean, you should see how it feels to sit there and write the exam for 2 hours and deal with 5 different subjects within those 2 hours. See, if you're writing a sectional text, you have to just focus on that particular section. Whereas if you're writing a full length mock, then you're constantly shifting attention from one subject to another subject. And that break in the chain of thought, it makes the whole game different. And you'll have to learn how to deal with this. Right? Maybe when the first mock you will write, you may score 40, 50, or maybe 30, maybe even less than that. I'll tell you about my experience. I wrote the first mock. I wrote CLAT in 2016. 2016 was the time when I wrote CLAT, so I started preparation in 2015. When I wrote the first mock, I scored 40 marks out of 200. Back then, the CLAT was of 200 marks. This was my first mock score, 40 out of 200. That is only 20%. When I wrote the actual CLAT exam, I got 143 out of 200. You see a jump of 100 marks, right? So this was around 20%, and I scored 70% here. You see the kind of jump I see. This is because I wrote around 50 mocks during my preparation. I wrote 50 mocks during my preparation. And with each and every mock, I learned something. And writing the mock is not enough. Writing the mock is not enough. It is merely writing the mock is merely 20% of the job. Rest 80% is the analysis. Initially, if you're writing the mock for 2 hours, the analysis will take at least 3 hours. Try to see what type of mistakes you have done. Why this particular question you attempted incorrectly. Make a note, make an Excel file and note down all your mistakes. Note down what type of mistakes you're doing. For example, one of the reasons for you attempting a question incorrectly could be that you did not read the passage properly. And the second reason could be that you did not read the options and question properly. The other reason could be that you did not understood the question and passage. So these are the problems. Now, for every problem, there's a different solution. For a different problem, there's a different solution. So if the problem is that you did not read the question properly or did not read the passage properly, the answer is very simple. That from the next time you have to be more focused while reading the question than the passages. Whereas if the question if the problem is that you did not understood the passage, let's say the passage was on economics, now it's an indicator that you have to go back home and study this subject or this particular topic. You have to revise it. So for different problem, there are different solutions. But unless you analyze this mock, how will you know what is the problem? Clear?
Yes, sir.
Sir, what is the frequency of giving the mocks?
As of now, you can write one mock a week. As of now, you can start with writing one mock every week, maybe in the month of August and September. August and September is the time where you should start the frequency. August, September, October, you can write, let's say, 2 mocks per week. November is when you should increase it to 3. And in the last week, plan, let's say, 4 to 5 mocks.
So the mocks available on our dashboard, time dashboard, are those which we need to take?
You can contact your centers for that. They'll have a better information about when these mocks will be available and how
Okay.
you can access them. And you have to write the mock by taking the offline copies.
Offline copies.
Yeah, your centers must be providing you the offline copies of these mocks, no? Physical copies of these mocks. Because this exam is on offline mode, so it's better that you write the mock in the offline mode only, along with the OMR sheet.
Okay.
Fine. Let's move to the next standard practice, which is solve the previous year paper. This I have already told you the importance of solving the previous year papers, right? You should know the enemy. You don't even know what type of enemy you are going to fight. And also analyze these papers. Make a table. Let's say, make a table. Let's say GK. GK and current affairs. Let's say 3 passages were from current affairs. 2 passages from static. And also write the type of topic. For example, the question was on BRICS. Now, this is an indicator, and last year also there was a question on G20. Now, this is a clear indicator that you have to prepare for international organization. Last 3-4 years, every year they're asking question on international organization. Clear indicator that you have to prepare for this. Let's say one was on Paris Olympics. Before that, they asked questions on FIFA World Cup. Now, what does this indicate? This indicates that you have to cover the topic of major sporting events very properly. You can also do this for legal reasoning. Legal reasoning, let's say 4 passages from current legal developments, 1 passage from static or basic laws. Now, what should be the focus? Whatever the most important current legal development, whether it's a new law or it's a new judgment, you have to be aware of this. You should be aware of this. For this, you have another source, which is legal mantra. Just like GK mantra, they also come up with a legal mantra or a magazine which talks about the current legal developments. Moving on, you should never assume that the journey is going to be easy. That is a standard practice. Always assume that what you're doing is a difficult task. When you start assuming, when you start feeling that what I'm doing is something big, you will get a motivation to do it. If you start feeling that it's not a big task to prepare for CLAT and you will clear it easy, you will never get a motivation. That internal motivation will be missing. It's a human psychology that we enjoy doing difficult things. If something is easy, you will never enjoy it. You'll keep doing repetitive things. You'll enjoy it only when you feel that it's a big thing. It's something different. It will put you in a better place. Only then you will enjoy this journey. Otherwise, you'll get bored. There will be no internal motivation. Clear? These are the standard practices which every aspirant of CLAT must follow if they want to clear CLAT. Apart from reading the subject, apart from studying the subject, these are the standard practices that you have to follow. And the sooner you incorporate these habits, the better results you'll have. Fine. Any doubts, any queries at this moment?
So, uh, hello.
Yeah, yeah. You're saying something.
Sir, yes. What if while solving the paper, what if we don't understand the particular meaning of the word or the sentence of the passage? So, what to do at that time?
See, if let's say if you're writing the paper and you get stuck with the meaning, first you try to guess the meaning of that word in the context. If you are not, at least you try to solve 2 3 questions. Not every question will require you to know the meaning of that term, right? It not every question will require. So if there are, let's say, 5 questions, 3 to 4 questions you can solve even without the meaning of that term. If
Yes.
if that happens in a question, let's say there's a term in question which you are stuck with, in that case it's better that you leave that question for that one.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Okay, let's move to the next area, that is subject wise strategy. We'll talk about English, GK, current affairs, and all the subjects one by one. Let's first talk about English and logical reasoning. A strategy, the basic strategy for these subjects is going to be the same, right? Now the first thing that you should do is that you have to focus on the core areas. There are very limited core areas in these subjects. For example, in English, you have to focus on tones, themes, titles, and some logical reasoning concepts like inferences, conclusions. So these are the areas that you have. These are the areas where you see questions being asked repeatedly. Repeatedly, the questions are being asked from these areas. So first, your focus should be on developing a command over these subjects. The focus should be on developing the command over these areas. Similarly, in logical reasoning, you have assumptions, conclusions, inferences, flaw, strengthening and weakening, and core argument. These are, if once you develop a command over these subjects, then you can move to practice. But first, the idea should be that you must develop a very good hold over these subjects. Now, how many of you have already developed a command over these concepts? Have you heard about these concepts? Have you done class? Have you solved questions based on these concepts in your classes?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
I'm sure most of you would have solved it. So once you and see, try to solve multiple handouts for these concepts, right? If you have solved, let's say, if you have solved one handout for tones, or let's say while writing the mock, you realize that tones is the area where you are doing a lot of questions incorrectly. Then in that case, you should go to your faculty. You should go to the faculty member, ask him for his or her help. You should ask them for their help, and you should also ask them for some other practice handouts. Let's say ask them for practice handouts on tones. Right? If you are repeatedly making mistakes in questions based on tones, ask for the help from faculty member and ask them for some practice handouts. They'll be happy to provide you. It goes on. It goes same for all the other areas. For all the areas, this remains the same. Clear? So this should be the strategy for English and logical reasoning. The first focus is core concepts, developing a command over core concept. Then comes the practice. Practice more and more questions. Now, it's a skill-based exam. It's a skill-based paper, and skills can be improved only and only by practice. The more you practice, the better you become. Let's say if you have already practiced 100 questions based on tones, I don't think there should be any issue in dealing with any question related to tones in that case. Same goes with themes, titles, LR concept, flaws, inference, even whatever it is. It's a skill-based exam, and to improve your skills, you need practice. As easy as it goes. Next comes the main subject, which is legal reasoning. Now, legal reasoning is a subject where you have a potential to score 32 out of 32. And I've seen a lot of students in the past who have aced at least 30, 29 marks out of 32 in legal reasoning. So it's a very high scoring area. Especially if you have a good command over English language, you should not you will not have any difficulty in scoring at least 28, 29 marks in legal reasoning. It is one of the highest scoring subjects. And also it is one of the most useful subjects in your law school journey. The first thing that you should do is develop the command over theory. You should develop the command over legal maxims, core legal subjects like contracts, torts, constitution, and crimes. These are the 4 core areas which you must cover. Along with that, you should also cover ancillary laws like POCSO, uh, ADR, alternate dispute resolution mechanism, intellectual property. And I'm not asking you to become an expert on this subject. Just know the basic vocabulary of this subject. For example, you should know the difference between a copyright and a patent and trademark. What is the difference between these terms? Or alternatively, you should also know the difference between, let's say, uh, area murder. Should know the difference between arbitration and conciliation. What is the difference? So basics, thematic vocabulary. You should have a command over basic concepts and the vocabulary of the subjects. If you have done that, then you are sorted. Now, this will help you to understand the passages better. This will help you to understand the passage within one go. If, let's say, you know the concept of the contract of indemnity. Let's say you have read the concept of contract of indemnity. Now, if you get let's say in exam, you get a passage on contract of indemnity. You will have a very good understanding of this passage. In fact, you can read that passage faster. You will have more efficiency in reading that passage and solving the questions based on that. Fine. Then the second is practice. The second step is practice. Practice as many questions, as many handouts as you can. At least 30 to 40 handouts you should solve. Or I would say at least 200 passables plus the mocks. So let's say if you're doing 50 mocks, 50 into 5 to 6 passages, that is 250. So all in all, 450 to 500 passages you should solve before appearing for the exam. If you have done that, you are sorted. But what is more important while practicing is you should recognize and rectify the errors. Now, one of the most common mistakes that students do while solving legal reasoning is that they go beyond the scope of passage. Something which is not mentioned in the passage, that they will select as the answer. They will select the answer which is not given in the passage. So you have to be very careful while solving legal reasoning questions, that you have to stick to the passage itself. You might have more information than what is supplied in the passage. But while answering the question, you have to stick to the passage. You cannot go beyond the scope of the passage. Clear? Does it make sense to you?
Yes.
Yes.
Any doubts? Any queries?
No.
No. No, sir.
Now, the third is improving accuracy. As I said, you can score 32 up to 32 in subjects. There are students who have done that in past. So improving accuracy is something that will put you ahead of your competition. So if your competition is, let's say, scoring 25 marks in this subject, so 26 marks in the subject, and you end up scoring 30, you are already 4 to 5 marks ahead of them. This will put you ahead of your competition. It's a competitive exam. You just have to score more marks than your competitors are scoring. If you're able to do it, you don't have to score 120 out of 120. You just have to score, if your competitor is scoring 108, you have to score 109 in order to get rank 1. Or not even 109, you just have to score 108.27. You just have to be better than your competitors. Fine. Let's move to the next area, which is quant. Okay. There's one more tip about English, logical reasoning, and legal reasoning is that mock analysis. Analyze the mocks. Focus on solutions. See, we provide extensive solutions for each and every mock. If you have written any of our mocks, you would have realized that there are extensive solutions. If the mock is of, let's say, 10 pages, the solution would be of 20 pages. Read those solutions, especially for the questions which you have attempted incorrectly. Try to see what type of mistake you have done. There are few generic mistakes that you do. You go beyond the scope of passage. You don't understand the passage properly. You do not read the passage properly. You do not read the question properly. These are the generic mistakes. See what type of mistakes you are making repeatedly and try not to make those mistakes repeatedly. Make a diary. Name it as mistakes diary. And in that mistakes diary, record your first impression of the mock. Let's say you wrote a mock. Record the first impression and also the type of mistakes that you have made. The mistakes could be you spent too much time on a particular subject. The other mistake could be you left one of these subjects completely, right? List down all these mistakes and read them before appearing for the next mock. This will help you in realizing what type of mistakes that you have made in past, and you do not have to repeat such mistakes again. If you are making the mistake once, that is fine. If you are making a mistake twice, you have to improve. If you are making the mistake repeatedly, then it's you who are the fool. Only fools repeat the mistakes. Smart people work and recognize and work on improving their mistakes and make sure that they do not repeat the same mistake. It's fine if you're committing the new type of mistakes, but it is not at all acceptable if you're repeating the same mistakes again and again. Next is quantitative techniques. The first thing you have to do is do not be afraid of the subjects. How many of you think that quant is not their cup of tea? I'm sure there would be many. Even if you don't raise the hand, I can say that 70 to 80% of you are not even touching the subject as of now. Raksha, I know a lot of you. Nitya. See, I'm teaching for CLAT for almost 4 years now. And I know that 80% of the students, in fact, 90% of the students that I meet are afraid of quant. They are not even ready to touch the subjects. Even though you are not admitting at this point, but I know what the reality is. Right? Please do not, the one and only thing that I'm expecting you from in this subject is don't be afraid of the subject. It is the low hanging fruit. It is the lowest hanging fruit. You can easily score 8 to 10 marks out of 12 in the subjects. Only if you can do away with your fear. If you do away with your fear, you will be easily scoring 8 to 10 marks in the subjects. You can easily score 8 to 10 marks in the subject if you just do away with your fear. Right? The questions are very easy. Just look at the previous year papers. Look at last year's paper. There were two passages asked. Two passages were there, two set of questions. Out of that, one was extremely easy. The second one was easy to moderate. The questions were extremely easy. Something that could be solved by class 6 or class 7 students. That is the level of question in class 1. Then focus on, once you are done away with the fear, once you have conquered your fears, you should start learning the concepts. Concepts like percentages. Learn the formulas, learn how to solve the questions from percentages, averages, ratios, proportion and variables, simple interest and compound interest, right? Data interpretation. These are the concepts that you have to learn. Learn how to solve the question based on these concepts. Then please give this subject its due attention. Lot of students do not at all give attention to the subject, thinking कि ठीक है 10% ही तो है, 12 ही क्वेश्चन तो आएगा इसमें से, 120 में से 12 ही क्वेश्चन तो आएगा, बाकी 98 क्वेश्चन में अच्छा कर लेंगे. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. You have to give this subject its due weightage. Quant is the rank decider in class. It determines whether you will be going to NLU Jabalpur or NLSIU Bangalore. Let's say a student scored 90 without doing quant. He did not attend quant. The other student also scored 90 in those 4 areas. Plus, he also scored 8 marks in quant. This student is going either to NLSIU or Nalsar. This student will most likely go into Odisha, Punjab, colleges like that. I'm not saying that these are bad colleges. They're good colleges. But if you compare with these colleges, they're nowhere near. So it's a rank decider. Please keep in mind it's a rank decider. This is going to decide your rank. logical reasoning, legal reasoning, and English language will ensure that you get into NLU. Quant will decide which NLU you are going to. Clear? Now, how many of you are promising that they will do away with the fear and they'll give this subject its due attention, the attention that it deserves? Okay, I have two promises, three as of now: Raksha, Nitya, and Drishti. Others and Devika as well. What about others? Okay, I have Tansy, Harshada. Great to see you guys. See, it's something that will ensure that you get amazing colleges, right? You have to conquer your fears, either today, if not today, maybe the next day. And please do away with this with this preconceived notion that in if you are pursuing law, you will not require quant. It is basic quant that you will require for the rest of your life. How will you draw the bills for your clients if you don't know how to the concept of percentages and averages? The third thing, attempt quant in mocks. I have seen a lot of students, they do not even give 10 minutes to quant in mock. See, you have 120 minutes in mock, right? And you have 5 areas to cover. A lot of students, quant, they will not even touch. They will spend 100, they will find all the reasons to spend their 120 minutes in these four subjects, and they will completely leave this area. They'll not even touch this area. And they will develop a habit of not touching this area. I'll tell you about my story. You'll be surprised to know how much I scored in class 12th in quant. I had commerce with mathematics. I was very good in commerce subjects, but mathematics I never liked, especially the class 11th and 12th level mathematics. I did not enjoy it. So I never studied a quant, but I was very good in these four subjects. I scored 95 in three subjects. I was the school topper in three subjects: accountancy, business studies, and economics. In English also, I was 90 plus. In quant, I barely passed. 34 out of 100. I was literally crying in the exam. I had no hopes of passing that exam. When I tried to calculate the marks, I saw that I'm not even getting one answer of the questions. But it's not like I never studied quant. Yes, I did. I did. I put a lot of efforts in quant, especially in the last 2 months. The last 2 months of my board exams, I I put extreme efforts. I studied for quant for 4 to 5, in fact 4 to 5 hours a day, continuously for 2 months. But still, that fear never. And it's not like the paper was tough or I was not. I didn't knew how to solve those questions. I was aware. I had solved all such questions before, but in the exam I could not do it. Why? Because of that fear. The fear of not attempting mathematics or not attempting mathematics in the previous exam. I left all my previous mathematics exam. I somehow managed to pass the other exams, and I was promoted from class 11 to class 12. I never wrote a single unit test. I never wrote the first semester exam. I directly went there and wrote the board exam. I barely managed to pass. I'm pretty sure that they would have given me grace marks for this. I'm very open about it. So the personal experiences, but when I when I when I started preparing for CLAT, I took a drop to prepare for CLAT, and I started preparing for CLAT. I decided that I'll conquer my fear. And at that time, quant was of 20 marks, and out of 20, I scored 18.75 in quant. 18.75 marks in quant I scored out of 20 in the CLAT exam. I could do this because I spent the first 3 months of my CLAT preparation every day I spent with quant. And also the other thing is the quant that CLAT task is very different from class 11th and 12th. It's very basic. So please do away with this fear and attempt that section in the morning. At least start by 10 minutes, giving 10 minutes. Then gradually increase 15 minutes. If you're getting, let's say, 8 marks in 15 minutes in quant, I'm happy with that. And you will be in a better position. GK and current affair. Now, this is a subject where we get a lot of confusion. The first thing that I want to tell you is that please limit your sources. There are n number of sources which are available. There are n number of GK magazines. There are n number of current affair magazines. I want you to limit your sources for GK. The first and the most basic source should be the classes and the class notes. The second is the magazine, that is GK Mantra. The third is the MCQs in the mock questions. See, the question that we give in mocks are from very important topics. This question will be from the most important topics, and these questions and the topics that are asked in these mocks are very important. If you are covering these three areas repeatedly, just by doing it once will not be enough. If you are reading once, it will not be enough for GK and current affairs. Imagine you are reading something now, it will be asked in the exam in the month of December. So you have to retain it. And to retain it, you will have to revise. You will need multiple revision. So the strategy for GK is read, revise, and repeat. This is the strategy. This should be the strategy. Read, revise, repeat. At least 3 revisions. Whatever you are reading, and you have to revise it at least thrice. 3 times you have to revise it. Only then it makes sense. If you cannot revise it thrice, there is no point of reading. Consistency is the key in GK. You have to constantly make efforts. You may not see immediate results in GK. GK will take time. You may score, let's say, 8 or 10 marks initially, maybe even less than that, maybe 5 or 6. But this will gradually increase because there's a lot to study. It's a knowledge intensive subject. And the more it will take time, you will take time to develop a command over the subject. It will give this subject at least 3-4 months. At least 2 to 3 months, you should give this subject. Only then this score will gradually increase. The score will start increasing from 5 to 6. It will increase to 10, to 12, to 14, 15, up to 20. If you're scoring 20 out of 28 in GK, you are well placed. You are among the top 5% of the people. You are at the right place. 20 out of 28 is a very good score in GK. You cannot score 28 of 28 out of 28. Even I cannot score 28 of no one in this world can score 28 out of 28. Now I'll talk about common mistake, but before that, is there any doubts that you have in your mind? Any queries or any doubts that you have in your mind at this stage?
No, sir.
Sir,
Nitya,
hello.
you're saying something? Huh.
Sir,
Nitya, you're not
hello.
audible properly. Yeah, Drishti.
Sir, I'm Drishti here. Yes. Sir, what if we aren't sure about the answers? Means we are confused between two options. So what to do? Should we assume an attempt or should we leave that at that point?
Okay, I'll tell you the basic. I'll tell you how do I approach this problem. Let's say this question, and there are 4 options. Let's say option A, option B, option C, and option D. See, in CLAT exam, both accuracy and the attempts matter. How many questions you are attempting and what is the accuracy. You cannot sacrifice on any of these. You cannot attempt less than 105 questions. You cannot than 80%. So both things have to be simultaneously kept in mind. Let's say especially in GK, there will be instances where you will not know the direct answer of this question. But if you have already read a lot of information, you may be able to solve the questions by logic. For example, there's a question which is asking you one of the cities or which of the following cities is popular for making woolen shawls. You just have to recognize the city, right? Options are Ludhiana, Bikaner, Nagpur, and Srinagar. Now tell me the answer of this question. Let's say you don't know the answer of this question. You are not at all aware of the answer of this question. What logic can you solve this question by logic? Can you logically derive the answer of this question?
Yes.
Sir, it cannot be
Sir,
grown in
Sir,
Nagpur.
no, sir.
You cannot derive the answer of this question by logic. I'll tell you how to do it.
It cannot be grown in Nagpur because of the high temperature.
Is it not true for the? Is the same not true for Bikaner in Rajasthan, which is in the desert?
Yes, yes.
Yes.
It will
What
grow
about
in
for
lower
Guyana?
temperatures. Srinagar.
It's Srinagar.
See, they will make shawls only when the shawls are required in that city. Why would they make otherwise? Right? So Srinagar is the answer. So even if you don't know sometimes, even if you don't know the answer, you can derive the answer by logic. Now let's talk about those options, those type of questions where you can eliminate two options. Let's go back and see what if you could have eliminated two questions. There are four options. Let's go with the same question. First option is Srinagar. Second is Shimla. Third is Bikaner. And fourth is Nagpur. Now here you have eliminated two options. Now, what are the chances of you getting the correct answer? What is the chance?
50%.
50%.
50%. If you have brought down the chances of getting the question correct to 50%, I would suggest that you mark, even if you don't know the now you are confused. You don't know. You go with either option A or B. But if you have brought down the chances of getting the question incorrect to 50%, you should go ahead and mark this question. You should take that risk. But do not mark the question if you cannot eliminate any of the options.
What if two options are 50-50?
In this case, what are the chances of you getting the question answer correct by guessing the answer? What is the chance of getting the? What is the chance? What are the chances that you'll get the answer correctly if you are marking a fluke? तुक्का लगाओगे तो कितना % चांस है आंसर सही होने का?
25.
25%. In this case, do not take risk. Leave this question.
Okay.
Only you are taking risk only if you have eliminated two options. फिर तभी रिस्क लेना है. अगर 50% तक चांस है कि क्वेश्चन सही हो सकता है तो रिस्क ले लो. बिना सोचे समझे रिस्क ले लो उस क्वेश्चन में. अब एज्यूम करो कि तुमने 10 क्वेश्चन में ऐसा रिस्क लिया है. यू हैव टेकन सच रिस्क इन 10 क्वेश्चन. यू ऑल कंफर्टेबल विथ हिंदी ना? हिंदी बोलूंगा चलेगा?
Yes,
Yes.
Yes.
Anyone who is not comfortable with Hindi, I can continue in English. I don't have an issue. Okay, all right. अभी 10 क्वेश्चन में ऐसा तुक्का मारा. अभी 10 क्वेश्चन में से मान लो 5 सही हुआ, 5 गलत हुआ. 5 सही हुआ तो कितना नंबर मिलेगा? 5 नंबर. 5 गलत हुआ तो -1.25. नेट पॉजिटिव क्या हुआ? 3.75. इसीलिए यहाँ पर रिस्क, यहाँ पर चांसेस लेना है. ये प्रोबेबिलिटी का गेम है. ये इट्स अ गेम ऑफ प्रोबेबिलिटी. तो अगर तुमने 10 ऐसे क्वेश्चन में तुमने तुक्का मारा तो तुम्हारा नेट पॉजिटिव गेन हुआ 3.75 का. इसीलिए 50% चांस अगर है क्वेश्चन सही होने का तो गो है. 25% चांस है तो वहां रिस्क मत लेना. क्योंकि वहां क्या होगा ना, 10 क्वेश्चन अगर 25% रिस्क पे मारोगे तो लेट से 3 सही हो जाएंगे, 7 गलत हो जाएंगे, या 2 सही हो जाएंगे, 8 गलत हो जाएंगे. बहुत कम चांसेस है. 2 सही हुए, 8 गलत हुए. 2 सही पे कितना हुआ? 2 मार्क. 8 गलत पे 0. यहाँ पर दिक्कत है. यहाँ पर तुम नेगेटिव में जा सकते हो. और ये 2 सही होंगे भी या नहीं इसका भी कोई गारंटी नहीं. लेकिन यहाँ पर ज्यादा चांसेस हैं कि ये हो सकता है. ऐसा भी हो सकता है कि 10 तुमने अटेम्प्ट किए, 4 ही सही हो, 6 गलत हो गया. 4 सही हो तो 4 नंबर मिलेगा. ये 1.5 नेगेटिव जाएगा, फिर भी 2.5 पॉजिटिव है. इसीलिए चांस लो, लेकिन चांस तभी लेना या तो कोई लॉजिक लग रहा है तब चांस ले लो, या फिर 50% तक चांस है एलिमिनेट करने का, तब फिर चांस ले लो. तब फिर मत सोच लो. गॉट इट?
yes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now these are the common mistakes that the students make. They prefer quantity over quality. बहुत सारा कंटेंट अवेलेबल है मार्केट में. ठीक है, टेलीग्राम खोलोगे हजारों मॉक मिल जाएंगे, हजारों हैंडआउट मिल जाएंगे. रद्दी कंटेंट मिल जाएगा बहुत सारा। तुम लोग को लगता है कि जितना ज्यादा सॉल्व कर लेंगे उतना ज्यादा बेटर है। ये फिलॉसफी भी सही है, मैं गलत नहीं बोल रहा हूँ। लेकिन पहले जितना बताया जा रहा है उतना कर लो, जितना सफिशिएंट है उतना उतना बड़ा खाओ जितना चबा सकते, ठीक है। बाइट ओनली एज मच एज यू कैन चू, ठीक है। आप 10 मॉक सॉल्व कर लिए एक दिन में, कोई एक दिन, या मैं बहुत लोग रोज मॉक सॉल्व करते हैं, कोई पॉइंट नहीं है। 50 मॉक सॉल्व करो, लेकिन 50 को एनालाइज करो। और अगर तुम ये ज्यादा बेटर रिजल्ट देगा बजाय इसके कि तुमने 100 मॉक सॉल्व कर लिए और एक भी एनालाइज नहीं किया। क्वांटिटी ओवर क्वालिटी, अच्छी चीजें पढ़ो, अच्छा कंटेंट ढूंढो। वी आर डूइंग आवर बेस्ट टू प्रोवाइड द गुड क्वालिटी कंटेंट टू यू, राइट? And I'm not saying we are the only one doing that. If you are finding good content from other sources, then also focus on that. लेकिन हमेशा क्वालिटी को प्रेफरेंस दो क्वांटिटी के ऊपर। 100 मॉक की जगह 50 मॉक करो, लेकिन अच्छे से करो और एनालाइज करो। एनालाइज करो इनको, अलग अलग वैरायटी के मॉक सॉल्व करो, डिफिकल्ट भी करो, इजी भी करो, हर तरह के मॉक सॉल्व करो, बट क्वांटिटी को ध्यान में रखते हो, प्लस एफर्ट। खुद को ओवर बर्डन मत करो, राइट? मल्टीपल सोर्सेज के पीछे मत भागो। ऐसा मत करो कि मैं ये इस कोचिंग का भी मैगजीन पढ़ लूंगा, इस कोचिंग का भी पढ़ लूंगा, उस कोचिंग का भी पढ़ लूंगा, हिंदू भी पढ़ लूंगा, इंडियन एक्सप्रेस भी पढ़ लूंगा, फिर तो क्वेश्चन बाहर आएगा ही नहीं। अरे याद रहेगा? रिटेन कर पाओगे इतना? विल यू बी एबल टू रिटेन इतना सारा?
No.
टेल मी फ्रैंकली, नहीं होगा ना। खुद पर, और
No.
खुद को हमेशा अनसेटिस्फाइड फील होगा। हमेशा ऐसा लगता रहेगा कि यार ये तो ये रह गया, वो रह गया, मुझे ये भी करना था, मुझे ये भी करना था, मुझे ये वाली मैगजीन सॉल्व करनी थी, इसके 50-5 हजार क्वेश्चन सॉल्व करने थे। बकवास कंटेंट अवेलेबल है मार्केट में बहुत फ्रीली, फ्री। वो आपको लगता है कि वो कंटेंट फ्री है, वो फ्री नहीं है। वो आपसे आपका बेस्ट रिसोर्स छीन रहा है, जो कि है टाइम। वो आपसे आपका टाइम ले, आपका टाइम बहुत प्रीशियस है। एंड आई एम नॉट टॉकिंग अबाउट टाइम इंस्टीट्यूट, आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट योर टाइम। ओके, टाइम इंस्टीट्यूट इज आल्सो प्रीशियस, बट या, एट फ्रॉम योर पर्सपेक्टिव खुद का टाइम बचाओ, इधर उधर के सोर्सेज में मत भागो, लिमिटेड सोर्स रखो। मैंने बोला जीके में 3 सोर्स होने चाहिए, एक मैगजीन। अब आपको कोई और मैगजीन अच्छी लगती है पढ़ना, वो पढ़ लो, लेकिन एक ही पढ़ो, 10 मैगजीन
सर
मत। सेम गोज
एक
विद द न्यूज़पेपर। अगर एक न्यूज़पेपर पढ़ो, अच्छे से पढ़ो, क्लास के नोट्स कर लो, मॉक के क्वेश्चन कर लो, और एग्जाम के टाइम पे एक कंपाइलेशन पढ़ ले, और मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट टॉपिक्स वो रिवाइज कर लो। इतना काफी है, उसके अलावा मत भागो। कुछ बोल रहे थे,
सर
यू आर सेइंग समथिंग? या,
यस सर, मुझे पूछना था कि आपने बोला कि एवरी डे न्यूज़पेपर जो हिंदू का है वो पढ़ो, मतलब यूट्यूब मतलब वीडियो देखने से अच्छा, फिर उससे नोट्स लेने से अच्छा यू रीड द न्यूज़पेपर डायरेक्टली, सो यू प्रिपेयर फॉर ऑल द 4
डोंट
सब्जेक्ट।
मेक डोंट मेक द नोट्स। हर टॉपिक का नोट्स मत बनाओ न्यूज़पेपर में से। वो मैगजीन हम क्या करते हैं, वो मैगजीन क्या है जो हम मैगजीन देते हैं जीके मंत्रा, वो क्या है? महीने भर में जितने भी 3-4 अच्छे न्यूज़पेपर हैं, और जो भी न्यूज़पेपर में न्यूज नहीं आई है, वो सारी न्यूज का कलेक्शन है वो। तो वो नोट्स जब हम बना के दे रहे हैं और सारी रिसर्च भी करके दे रहे हैं, तो फिर आप लोग क्यों मेहनत कर रहे हो वाले?
हाँ,
तो
तो मुझे
न्यूज़पेपर
वही
के नोट्स
पूछना
नहीं
था
बनते।
कि हिंदू से अगर जब पढ़ेंगे तो अभी मेरा क्या हो रहा है, मेरा बस कॉन्सेप्ट मतलब आई एम जस्ट थिंकिंग अबाउट कि अरे ये अभी जब मैं कोई पैसेज पढ़ूंगी तो आई ट्राई टू रिटेन कि अच्छा ये पूछ सकते हैं, या जो भी, मैं इस पे नहीं फोकस करूंगी कि मुझे ये पैसेज पढ़ना है, इसको समझना है, आई वांट टू कॉम्प्रिहेंड इट फॉर ऑल द 4 सब्जेक्ट्स। सो वो धीरे धीरे बिल्डअप हो जाएगा ना?
टेक टाइम। देखो, एक एक लाइन इंपॉर्टेंट नहीं होती है पैसेज की। वो पैसेज तुम्हें समझ में आ रहा है कि नहीं? क्या करो, ब्रेक डाउन। अगर तुम्हें दिक्कत हो रही है समझने में, तो पैसेज को ब्रेक डाउन करके देखो। एक पैसेज में हो सकता है कि 5 पैराग्राफ है, ठीक है। क्या करो, इनिशियली मैं भी ये करता था, इट्स अ टेस्टेड ट्रिक। मेरे को भी नहीं आता था समझ में, तो मैं एक पैराग्राफ पढ़ता था। जैसे मान लो पैराग्राफ है डाउरी डेथ के ऊपर, ठीक है। अभी ये डाउरी डेथ के ऊपर कोई एडिटोरियल है, पहले पैराग्राफ में वो रीजंस बता रहा है कि क्या क्या रीजंस, ठीक है। तो मैं क्या करूंगा, एक इसको इसको पढ़ लूंगा पूरा, और यहाँ पे छोटा सा पेन से लिख लूंगा रीजंस, ठीक है। समराइज कर लिया मैंने, और दिमाग में कर लिया मैंने, समराइज कर लिया कि यहाँ पे रीजंस है, ठीक है।
हम्म।
गिव मी अ सेकंड। यहाँ पे मेरे रीजंस है, नेक्स्ट में वो सजेशंस दे रहा है, तो मैंने यहाँ पे छोटा सा सजेशन लिख लिया कि यहाँ पे सजेशंस क्या, बस इतना। थर्ड पैराग्राफ में वो कुछ ऑलेट से बात कर रहा है कि लीगल चेंजेस की क्या बात। फोर्थ पैराग्राफ में वो जुडिशियल इंटरप्रिटेशन की बात कर रहा है। तो मैंने एक पॉइंट, एक वर्ड में उसको समराइज कर लिया और मैंने लिख लिया उसको। अब मैं जब पैसेज पढ़ने के बाद जब मैं अपने माइंड में उसको समराइज करूंगा तो मुझे पता है अच्छा इसमें सजेशन दिए हैं, रीजन दिए हैं, और क्या क्या लीगल चेंजेस नेसेसरी हैं वो दिए, और कैसे इसका जुडिशियल इंटरप्रिटेशन हुआ। मेरे को पैसेज समझ में आ गया। जब ये 1-2 महीने तक कर लोगे ना ऐसा, फिर तुम्हें ये लिखने की जरूरत नहीं पड़ेगी। फिर तुम्हारे वो दिमाग, तुम मेंटली कर पाओगे ये चीज,
ओके।
बट उसके लिए टाइम लगेगा और तुम्हें रोज करनी पड़ेगी वो चीज। यू विल
तो
हैव टू
फिर
डू इट डेली।
रोज रोज ये पढ़ के, और रोज जो आपने बोला मंत्रा वाला, जीके मंत्रा वाला, वो रोज करना है ना, एवरी डे आफ्टर रीडिंग द न्यूज़पेपर और
तुमने
however
न्यूज़पेपर पढ़ लिया आज का,
हम्म।
ठीक है, ये तो डेली ही पढ़ना है,
हाँ
ठीक है। अब जी के मंत्रा इतनी बड़ी नहीं होती कि तुम उसको 30 दिन पढ़ो, ठीक है।
हाँ, छोटा होता है, आई हैव रेड इट।
अपना अपना यू डिसाइड कि भाई आई विल हैव टू कंप्लीट जीके मंत्रा विद इन अ वीक। लेट्स से मैंने अप्रैल की जीके मंत्रा उठाई, एक वीक में कंप्लीट कर ली, फर्स्ट रीडिंग लगा ली इसकी एक वीक में। नेक्स्ट वीक मैंने मई की उठा ली या मार्च की उठा ली, फिर उसको भी फर्स्ट रीडिंग कर ली। नेक्स्ट वीक मैंने अब मेरे को एक हफ्ता नहीं लगेगा दोबारा पढ़ने में, तो मैंने क्या किया, 5 दिन रिजर्व किए, 5 days आई विल रिवाइज अप्रैल। तो मेरी अप्रैल की जीके मंत्र रिवीजन हो गया, तो ये सेकंड रीडिंग हो गई मेरी। इसके बाद मैं वापस मार्च की उठा लूंगा 5 दिन में, और फिर थर्ड रीडिंग भी कर लूंगा। उसके बाद ऐसी थर्ड रीडिंग कर लूंगा, 3 रीडिंग हो गई, उसके बाद फिर और जरूरत नहीं है। तो अपना एक प्लान डिवाइस कर लो कि मुझे इतने इतने दिन में कंप्लीट करनी है, और ये सबके लिए अलग होगा। इट कैन नॉट बी वन साइज फिट फॉर ऑल। तुम किस स्पीड से पढ़ पाते हो, कितना टाइम डेडिकेट कर पाते हो, ये उस पर डिपेंड करेगा।
और सर जीके स्टैटिक की जो बुक है टाइम की, वो पूरी, मतलब पूरी करनी है ना, मतलब पूरी, आई नो आई पूरी करनी है, पर
उसके पहले क्लासेस, आई सेड सोर्स 3 होंगे। सबसे पहला सोर्स है क्लासेस, वो बुक तुम्हारे रेफरेंस के लिए है। जो जीके की मोटी सी बुक है वो सिर्फ तुम्हारे रेफरेंस के लिए, इट इज ओनली अ रेफरेंस बुक, यूज इट एज अ रेफरेंस बुक। तुमने पॉलिटी क्लास में पॉलिटी पढ़ा दिया, ठीक है। अब तुमने क्लास के नोट्स रिवाइज कर लिए, अब इस नॉलेज को, इस जो क्लास में तुम्हें मिली है, इसको सब्सटैंशिएट करने के लिए अपनी किताब को पढ़ो।
ओके।
वो रेफरेंस बुक है, उसको पूरा याद नहीं करना है। इट्स नॉट ह्यूमनली पॉसिबल कि मैं सारी चीजें याद करूं।
ओके।
ऑलराइट, दृष्टि।
Sir, from where can we get GK mantra? Like
सॉरी
newspaper store से या कहाँ से, मुझे पता नहीं। GK
दृष्टि,
mantra
योर
हमें
वॉइस
कहाँ
इज ब्रेकिंग।
से मिलेगी? Like ऐसे newspaper.
It's still not clear, दृष्टि। I'm not able to understand what you're speaking.
Hello.
Yeah, दृष्टि, can
Hello.
you please write
Okay.
your doubt? GK mantra is available on your portal, your time portal. GK mantra is available.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, next mistake that the student do is they do not take the classes on time. अभी बहुत अच्छा ऑप्शन अवेलेबल है कि आज क्लास नहीं करेंगे, रिकॉर्डेड क्लास ले लेंगे। ये सबसे बकवास तरीका है, वो कंपाइलेशन हो जाता है। एट द एंड होगा क्या, महीने भर के एंड में तुम्हारे पास 15 क्लासेस पड़ी हुई हैं, तो तुमने क्लास नहीं करी। अभी 15 क्लास इंटू 2 आवर्स या 30 आवर्स की क्लास तुम्हारी पेंडिंग हो गई। काम पेंडिंग मत रखो, प्रोक्रेस्टिनेट मत करो। आई नो इट साउंड्स कूल टू प्रोक्रेस्टिनेट ऑन थिंग्स, एंड आई डू दैट, बट मत करो। तुम उस फेज में नहीं हो अभी। जब तुम एग्जाम के लिए प्रिपेयर कर रहे हो, वो भी कॉम्पिटेटिव एग्जाम के लिए, जहाँ पे 70-80,000 स्टूडेंट्स तुम्हारा कॉम्पिटिशन है, कॉम्पिटिटर्स ऑलरेडी कर चुके हैं वो चीज, ठीक है। तुम लोग अपना काम बढ़ाते जाओगे और फिर एंड में तुम्हें खुद को साइकोलॉजिकली तुम्हें लगेगा कि अरे मैंने क्लास पूरी नहीं की। क्लास टाइम पर लो, जिस जब शेड्यूल है तब लो, अनलेस एंड अनटिल कोई इमरजेंसी, कोई सच में कोई इमरजेंसी नहीं है, तब तक क्लास को मिस मत करो प्लीज। वो पाइल अप मत करो। रेगुलरिटी रहेगी तुम्हारी, हर हफ्ते क्लास करोगे, एक रेगुलर फ्लो बना रहेगा। क्लासेस बीच में छोड़ोगे तो फ्लो टूट जाता है, और एक बार फ्लो टूट जाता है तो फिर से कहानी जीरो से स्टार्ट करनी पड़ती है, फिर से बाकी सारी चीजें जीरो से स्टार्ट होगी। इससे इसलिए बेटर है कि एक फ्लो मेंटेन करके चलो, अनलेस एंड अनटिल बहुत कोई इमरजेंसी नहीं है, क्लासेस मिस मत करो। जीके रिवाइज कर लो। बताया मैंने कि अभी कंसिस्टेंसी रखो और अपने सोर्सेस लिमिटेड रखो। सोर्स कोई भी हो सकता है। तुम्हें जीके मंत्रा नहीं पसंद आ रही है, मार्केट में बहुत सारी मैगजीन अवेलेबल है। मैं नहीं कह रहा कि तुम जीके मंत्रा ही पढ़ो, कोई और पढ़ लो, लेकिन एक ही पढ़ो और बार बार पढ़ो, रिवाइज करते रहो और एक टाइम बाउंड मैनर में पढ़ो। मार्च से स्टार्ट करो, मार्च की पढ़ लो, फिर अप्रैल की पढ़ लो, फिर रिवाइज कर लो, फिर वापस पढ़ लो, फिर रिवाइज कर लो। ठीक है, तो ब्रेक ले लेके पढ़ो और रिवाइज करते रहो और एक सोर्स रखो। 10 सोर्स के पीछे भागोगे, साइकोलॉजिकली कभी भी सेटिस्फाइड नहीं रहो। डू नॉट रन बिहाइंड डिफरेंट सोर्सेज, रीड वन सोर्स एंड रीड इट कंसिस्टेंटली, कीप रिवाइजिंग इट। ओके, कंसिस्टेंसी बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है। कॉम्पिटिटिव एग्जाम है, बहुत ज्यादा कॉम्पिटिशन। हमेशा बोलूंगा कि ये जर्नी इजी नहीं है, दिस इज नॉट एन इजी जर्नी। इजी काम करके शॉर्ट्स, वो इन शॉर्ट्स वाली न्यूज पढ़ के और शॉर्टकट्स लेके यहाँ पे काम नहीं चलने वाला। शॉर्टकट लोगे, अभी अभी सेटिस्फाइड रहोगे, एग्जाम वाले दिन सफर करो और फिर खुद को गाली दोगे, खुद को कोसोगे, इंस्टीट्यूट को कोसोगे और अपनी किस्मत को भी कोसोगे। तो बेटर है शॉर्टकट लेने से। अभी टाइम है यार तुम लोग के पास, अभी तुम्हारी समर वेकेशन चल रहा है, ये टाइम है, यूटिलाइज करो इस टाइम को। ठीक है, अभी मेहनत कर लोगे अगले 2 महीने में, तो आगे की 5-6 महीने की जर्नी है वो थोड़ी सी इजी हो जाएगी। मैं ये नहीं कह रहा कि बहुत आसान हो जाएगी, लेकिन हाँ कंपैरेटिवली इजी हो जाएगी। लास्ट के 2 महीने में तो वैसे भी प्रेशर आना ही है। और अभी स्कूल भी चालू हो जाएगा 12th क्लास का, 12th बोर्ड है, स्कूल वाले भी प्रेशर बनाएंगे कि नहीं पढ़ाई करो, घर वाले भी प्रेशर बनाएंगे। और उनका कहना भी गलत नहीं है, आई एम नॉट सेइंग कि दे आर रॉन्ग, बट स्कूल तुम इस दिसंबर, ये जून के बाद, मार्च अप्रैल के बाद स्कूल खत्म हो जाएगा, लास्ट ईयर है। फिर कहाँ जाओगे अगर अच्छा कॉलेज नहीं मिला तो ऐसा नहीं है। एक कॉम्बिनेशन हमेशा होता है कि दो, तुम्हारे पास 2 चॉइसेस हैं। स्कूल हमेशा चाहेगा कि तुम 90% बनाओ, तुम्हें लगेगा कि नहीं क्लैट भी चाहिए। कि कौन सा कॉम्बिनेशन बेटर लगता है, 90% विदाउट एन एलयू या 70% विद एन एलयू?
70% within it.
70%.
तो एम फॉर दिस, ये रियलिस्टिक है ना। और वैसे भी क्लैट दिसंबर में हो जाएगा, तुम्हारे पास जनवरी फरवरी मार्च 3 महीने रहेंगे, और इनफैक्ट दिसंबर जनवरी फरवरी 3 महीने रहेंगे पढ़ने के लिए। पढ़ते रहना बोर्ड्स के लिए अपने, अभी पढ़ लो एनएलयू क्लैट के लिए। अभी अपने कंसेप्ट क्लियर कर लो, जो भी कंसेप्ट है, इंग्लिश के, लॉजिकल रीजनिंग के, जीके के, जीके के और क्वांट के और लीगल के, ये कंसेप्ट अभी पढ़ लो, बाद में प्रैक्टिस करते रहना, लाइफ आसान हो जाएगी। मेक योर जॉब इजी ना। अभी क्या कर रहे हो तुम, अभी पढ़ते रहो। अभी क्या ही करना है, अभी क्या ही काम है, इससे बेटर कि अभी पढ़ाई कर लो, बाद की लाइफ आसान हो जाएगी। रिपीट मत करो मिस्टेक्स। मैं फिर बोलूंगा, अगर आप मिस्टेक्स रिपीट करते हो, बार बार एक ही तरह की मिस्टेक करते हो, तो तुम खुद मिस्टेक हो। ठीक है, बेवकूफ होते हैं वो लोग जो बार बार एक ही मिस्टेक रिपीट करते हैं। मॉक दे रहे हो, मॉक दिया, घर आए, एनालाइज किया, मॉक एनालिसिस अटेंड किया, मॉक एनालिसिस वीडियोस देखो। देर आर, हर मॉक के बाद हर सेक्शन का एक मॉक एनालिसिस है, कैसे तुम उस मॉक को अप्रोच कर सकते थे, कितना डिफिकल्ट था, कैसे तुम उस क्वेश्चन को आंसर कर सकते थे। एक बार वो देख लो, वो देख लोगे, तुम्हें पता चलेगा कि कहाँ कहाँ मैंने मिस्टेक करी, किस टाइप की मिस्टेक करी। वो लिख लो एक डायरी में, वो मिस्टेक की डायरी बनाओ, वो सारी मिस्टेक एक नोट डाउन कर लो। और जब भी नेक्स्ट मॉक देने जाओ, उसको एक बार पढ़ लो, अच्छा मैंने लास्ट मॉक में क्वेश्चन ढंग से पढ़े नहीं, उस वजह से मेरे 5 क्वेश्चन गलत हो गए। अब अगले मॉक में भी अगर तुम सेम मिस्टेक रिपीट कर रहे हो, तो फिर बेवकूफ कौन है? आई बी वेरी ब्लंट विथ यू, डू नॉट रिपीट द मिस्टेक्स। इट्स ओके टू मेक मिस्टेक वंस एंड ट्वाइस, उसके बाद मिस्टेक करना अलाउड नहीं है। ये कॉम्पिटिटिव एग्जाम है, यहाँ पे आपको इतनी लिबर्टी नहीं मिली है कि आप 10 बार एक ही मिस्टेक रिपीट करो। नई मिस्टेक करोगे, नई तरह की मिस्टेक करोगे, एब्सोल्युटली फाइन। फाइन, एनी डाउट्स, एनीथिंग? आई बीन ब्लंट इन दिस सेशन, आई होप यू विल नॉट माइंड दैट।
No, sir.
ऑलराइट, अब कुछ बोनस टिप्स है, ये तुम्हें हेल्प करेगी अपनी प्रिपरेशन को ऑन ट्रैक रखने में। सबसे पहले तो एक अकाउंटेबिलिटी बड़ी बना लो। कोई भी हो सकता है, वो तुम्हारा मेंटर होगा, पेरेंट्स होगा, फ्रेंड्स होगा, कोई भी। उसको बता दो कि मैं ये करने वाला हूँ, या उसको बोल, जैसे I always have like my sister as my accountability buddy when I was preparing. So I used to tell her कि देख मैं आज ये खत्म करने वाला हूं, तो मैं ये मार्च का जीके मंत्रा अगले 2 दिन में खत्म कर दूंगा। अगर तुमने बता दिया ना उसको, तो यू विल हैव अ सेंस ऑफ अकाउंटेबिलिटी। तुम्हें हमेशा लगता रहेगा कि नहीं ये करना है, यू हैव टू प्रूव इट। अगर अदरवाइज नहीं होगा तो वो पूछेंगे, एंड गिव देम द लिबर्टी कि तू आस्क, कि तू पूछ ले मेरे से कि मैंने किया है नहीं किया। जितनी बार तुम नहीं करोगे उतनी बार गिल्ट फील होगा। एक बार गिल्ट फील होगा नहीं करोगे तो, दूसरी बार गिल्ट फील होगा, तीसरी बार अपने आप कर लोगे, तुम्हारे टारगेट्स अचीव हो जाएंगे। द टारगेट्स विल बी अचीव। कितनी बार गिल्ट खाओगे, तुम्हें लगेगा ठीक है यार हर बार साला ये पूछते रहता है मेरे से करा कि नहीं करा, हर बार मेरे को जवाब देना पड़ता है कि नहीं किया, तो अगली बार से कर लोगे। हैव एन अकाउंटेबिलिटी बडी, कोई भी हो सकता है वो, इट कुड बी योर फ्रेंड, इट कुड बी anyone, maybe your mentors. If you have a good connect with your mentor, they can be the best accountability buddy. Parents also can play that role, friends also can play that role, but siblings can also play that role. Could be anyone. होगा क्या, तुम्हारे टारगेट्स अचीव हो जाएंगे। खुद से प्रॉमिस करके कई बार हम तोड़ देते हैं, तोड़ना आसान होता है। फिर कोई अकाउंटेबिलिटी नहीं है ना, तुम किसी के लिए अकाउंटेबल नहीं हो, तो मैंने ठीक है नहीं किया तो नहीं किया। अब बहुत सारे लोगों की प्रॉब्लम होती है कि उनको लंबा टाइम पढ़ा नहीं जाता, एक बार में बैठ गए 5 मिनट अटेंशन रहा, फिर फोन चलाने लगते हैं, फिर वापस वही किसी का मैसेज आ गया, किसी का कॉल आ गया। योर बिगेस्ट एनिमी इज योर फोन ओनली। ये तब तक इससे थोड़ा दूर रहो। अगले 5-6 महीने तक थोड़ा ट्राई करो कि फोन को थोड़ा साइड में रख के पढ़ाई वढ़ाई कर लो। एक बहुत अच्छी टेक्निक है पोमोडोरो टेक्निक, बहुत ट्राइड एंड टेस्टेड है, जापानीज टेक्निक है। 25 मिनट पढ़ो, या ये 25 मिनट कम भी हो सकता है। अगर तुमसे 25 मिनट भी नहीं पढ़ा जा रहा तो 15 मिनट पे स्टार्ट कर लो, 15 मिनट पढ़ाई करो, बट उस 15 मिनट में सिर्फ पढ़ाई करो और कुछ नहीं। फिर 5 मिनट का ब्रेक लो, फिर वापस 15 मिनट पढ़ाई करो, लेकिन इस 15 मिनट में सिर्फ पढ़ाई कर लो। कोई फोन नहीं उठाएगा, फोन साइलेंट करके रख दो, फोन बंद करके रख दो। इस 15 मिनट में सिर्फ पढ़ाई, फिर 5 मिनट का करो, उस 5 मिनट में जो करना है करो। सेम साइकिल रिपीट करते रहो, ये धीरे धीरे ग्रेजुअली इंक्रीज करते रहो। 15 मिनट से फिर 20 मिनट कर लो, हफ्ते भर बाद फिर 25 पे कर लो। ऐसे करते 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 धीरे धीरे इसको 45 तक ले जाओ। 45 मिनट पढ़ाई, 15 मिनट ब्रेक, 45 मिनट पढ़ाई, 15 मिनट ब्रेक। इससे क्या होगा, फैटीग फील नहीं होगा, तुम ऐसा थकोगे नहीं उतना जल्दी। अभी हम बहुत जल्दी थक जाते हैं, स्पेशली वो रील्स देख देख की आदत हो गई कि हर 15 सेकंड में हम, अटेंशन स्पैन बहुत कम हो गया है, तो उतना अटेंशन होता ही नहीं है। 15 मिनट, आधे घंटे का 1 घंटे का वीडियो एक बार में देख ही नहीं पाएंगे। इवन इन दिस सेमिनार व्हेन आई स्टार्टेड द सेमिनार 12 लोग थे, अभी 8 ही बचे, तो 4 लोग का अटेंशन स्पैन तो वहीं खत्म हो गया। तो attention span, we are facing with this problem of attention deficit, and it's not just you who is facing this problem. Even I have suffered with this problem of attention deficit. वो एक रील के बाद के दूसरी रील, next topic, jumping from one topic to another. पढ़ाई रील नहीं है, you'll have to be more serious and more consistent about it. तो ये पोमोडोरो टेक्निक will help you. नेक्स्ट स्टेप है एंजॉय द प्रोसेस। देखो एक बहुत लर्निंग जर्नी है, बहुत सारा पढ़ने को मिलेगा, और सिर्फ पढ़ने को नहीं मिलेगा, बहुत सारे एक्सपीरियंसेस मिलेंगे जो लाइफ लॉन्ग काम आएंगे। ठीक है, बहुत सारा स्ट्रगल होगा। कई बार ऐसा होगा कि मॉक में स्कोर नहीं बढ़ रहा है, कई बार तुम्हें लगेगा कि यार सब कुछ कर लिया इसके बाद भी मॉक में स्कोर नहीं आ रहा है। तुम्हारे फ्रेंड्स तुमसे बेटर परफॉर्म करेंगे, तुम्हारे कॉम्पिटिटर्स तुमसे बेटर परफॉर्म करेंगे। कभी कभार ऐसे फेजेस आएंगे जहाँ पे कोई इंप्रूवमेंट नहीं मिलेगा। मैं अपनी जर्नी की बात करता हूँ। आई स्टार्टेड माई क्लैट जर्नी इन मे इन सॉरी इन जून 2015, June 2015, and when I enrolled myself into the coaching. July, August was the time when I wrote my first mock. अगस्त से लेके अगस्त में 40 नंबर आ रहा था, सितंबर तक जाते जाते ये 60 हो गया, अक्टूबर तक आते आते ये 70 हो गया, लेकिन अक्टूबर नवंबर दिसंबर ये 70 तक पे ही स्टक हो गया, ज्यादा से ज्यादा 75 के वहां पे आके स्टक हो गया। तो ये जो फेज था कि जहाँ पे कोई इंप्रूवमेंट ही नहीं दिख रहा, सब कर लिया, अब क्या करूं। तो अब बहुत सारे टिप्स एंड टिक्स हैं जिसकी हम बात बाद में कर लेंगे, लेकिन ऐसे फेजेस आएंगे, देर विल बी फेजेस जहाँ पे इंप्रूवमेंट नहीं दिखेगा, जब आप दूसरे लोग आपसे बेटर कर रहे होंगे। तो डिफिकल्ट है जर्नी, मेंटली एग्जॉस्टिंग है, साइकोलॉजिकली भी है, फिजिकली भी है, बट अगर इसको इंटरेस्टिंग बनाना है तो स्टार्ट इंजॉइंग दिस जर्नी। इंजॉय करते रहो इस जर्नी को, बहुत सारा सीखने मिलेगा, बहुत सारे लाइफ लेसन मिलेंगे। जैसे जब मैं बोल रहा हूँ कि मॉक एनालिसिस करो, तो ये भी तुम्हें एक बहुत बड़ा लाइफ लेसन दे रहा है कि अपनी मिस्टेक्स को कैसे रिकॉग्नाइज करना है और उनको कैसे इंप्रूव करना है ना। दिस विल नॉट ओनली हेल्प यू इन क्लैट, ये क्लैट में सिर्फ हेल्प नहीं करने वाला है, ये तुम्हें लाइफ लॉन्ग हेल्प करेगा. दिस इज अ क्वालिटी दैट यू शुड इनकलकेट इन योर लाइफ, कि अपनी गलतियों को रिकग्नाइज करके उन पे इम्प्रूव करना है, ताकि बार बार वो गलतियां ना करो. ठीक है. तो स्टार्ट एंजॉइंग दिस प्रोसेस, स्टार्ट एंजॉइंग दिस जर्नी. वो बहुत वंडरफुल जर्नी है एंड यू विल एंजॉय इट अ लॉट. आई एम श्योर यू विल एंजॉय इट अ लॉट. और उसके बाद जब क्लैट निकल जाएगा तो तुम खुद बहुत रेलिश करोगे इस जर्नी को. ये जर्नी बहुत, तुम्हें जो एफर्ट तुमने, जो तुम्हारा स्ट्रगल्स है, वो तुम्हारे लिए एक चेरिश्ड मोमेंट की तरह बन जाएगा. फाइन. सो this was it. We'll call it a day now. I'm opening the floor for the questions or any queries that you have.
Sir, how do we reach out to you?
Do you reach out to me? I'll put my WhatsApp number.
Thank you, sir.
I might take a day or two to respond, but I will definitely respond.
Yes, yes, sir.
Eight 843-561-0021. This is my number. My name is Akash.
So we can text you now if we have any queries or something.
Sorry?
We can text you now if we have any queries or.
I'm still not able to understand. I think your voice is breaking. If you could write the
Sir, she's
message.
asking if she could text you if she has any doubts.
Yeah, definitely. That is why I provided my number. Feel free to reach out to me. In fact, if you have enrolled for Clat, at times, most of the handouts and the mocks that you are going to write, most of them are basically prepared by me only. So I feel that I will be in a better position to resolve all your queries.
Okay.
In case of any doubt, any query related to preparation strategy, you can feel free to reach out to me.
Sir, can you send us the past year, previous year papers of Clat?
Okay,
Or I don't get
I'll
it.
ask my team to do. I'll ask my team to do it.
Yes, yes, sir.
All right. Shall we end the session now, or if you don't have any other queries?
Yes, sir.
All right. Okay, then it was amazing to interact with you, and I wish you all the best
Thank you, sir.
for this journey. And in case if you have any other queries, please let me know. I'll be happy to help you out. We are together in this journey, and not just about academics. I mean, even if you feel like, if you feel low, if you feel that you are not able to get how to improve your scores, please feel free to reach out. We are together in this journey, and we'll make sure that we will do the best what we can for you to make your journey easy and interesting. I wish you all the best, and I hope you do well in your exams.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.